friends. So today I'm here to share with you all of the books that I read in April. There are still quite a few of them, but there's not as many as there's been previously because I just wasn't in an ebook mood this month. I think I started like 4 or 5 and got to like 10%. I was like, I'm not into this. I'm gonna DNF it, and I didn't even count it as a DNF because I didn't give it a fair shot. So, like always, I'm gonna go ahead and start with the ebooks that I did get to this month. There are 3 of them. The first was Downfall by Jay Crownover. This one I gave a 3.5 stars to. It is about a woman who has to escape her life, kind of. So she and her young daughter move into this kind of like bad side of town apartment, and it starts off with her car has died. She's got to walk home with her daughter in the middle of the night. She is almost attacked, but she's saved by this like good Samaritan that also lives in the apartment building that she lives in. And they sort of form a friendship, sort of form a relationship. It was really good. I don't know if I was already not in an ebook mood at this point, but I don't know. I felt like it wrapped up too easily, if that makes sense. I don't want to spoil what happened, but it wrapped up too easily for me. The second ebook I read was Royally Screwed by Emma Chase. This one it's a royal romance, obviously the title. It is about a prince who prince from somewhere over in Europe. I don't even remember the country's name. He's got to come to America to, rescue his little brother, I guess you could say. His little brother just got out of the military and he's got some PTSD issues. And the prince ends up going to this coffee shop that this woman has taken over since her bakery. It was a bakery, not a coffee shop. She's taken it over since her mother has passed away, and they insta-lust was all it was to me. I didn't feel like the love connection. I could understand that they were attracted to each other, but I just wasn't getting the full connection from it. I gave this one 2.5 stars. I didn't believe the romance. It felt lusty instead of love to me. The book I am currently reading, I think I'm at like 65% of the way through, is Buck Wild by Lauren Landish. I don't know what number book this is. I'm assuming it's the first one since there's 3 brothers and he's the only one of them with a girlfriend so far. But it's part of the Bennett Boys Ranch series. So far what I've got from this book is the bull rider has had to come home to his family's ranch for the summer because his father has passed away, and he's helping his brothers and his mom kind of settle back into a new routine. And they have... What? Oh! They have a mare who they've had to call the veterinarian for because she's having difficulties giving birth. So the vet shows up and he's got a new assistant who is there for the summer interning before she goes to vet school in the fall. So they're both only here for the summer and they're only going to have a summer connection, but it's going to be more because they are very cute. It's looking like a 3.5 stars right now unless something happens that jumps it up. So, starting the physical books I read, the first one was Fall from India Place by Samantha Young. This is book 4 in the On Dublin Street series. This is about the little sister of one of the characters from the original trilogy and her second chance romance with a boy who was, I think he's 2 or 3 years older than her, and she had a crush on him in high school. I don't know if that's the term. They're not in the U.S. Anyway, she had a crush on him when they were teenagers, and he ran away, and she never knew why. She never knew what happened until he comes back, and he tries to, he gets to explain to her what happened, that there was a good reason he left. He didn't think he was good enough. He had some, family issues that were, going with his, mental state. This was a really good book. I loved this. 4 stars. I love Samantha Young. I love her writing so much. It's such, I feel such a connection to her writing, and I've I've loved all of her books so far that I've read. I can't wait to get into more of them. The next book I read was I Want You Back by Lorelei James. I believe this is the first in the Want You series, but it's a spinoff of another series. I believe I read that somewhere. This one is another second chance romance about a woman and a man who share a child. I believe she was 9 years old. 8 years old, something around that age. They had been together, obviously they'd been together previously, and she had gotten pregnant, and then he went off to be a hockey star and cheated. Didn't know that when I went into this book. So it was a second chance after cheating, and I didn't feel like they addressed that enough. I feel like she was just like, he's back now. He's not a hockey player anymore. He's changed, and that was good enough. Their daughter was a brat. She was a brat. I read her more like a teenager rather than like a hormonal teenager rather than like a 9 or 8 year old, however old she was supposed to be. I ended up giving, I wrote down 3 stars for this one, but now that I'm thinking about it, I want it to be even less than that. Like maybe like a 2.5. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't for me. I did pick up more of Lorelei James books, because I really enjoyed the writing style. I'm hoping that the story is what my issue was with this one. Next I read You Be Mine by Erin Hahn. I gave this one 5 stars. This was so cute. This is a YA contemporary. It starts with the main guy character. He is a country music superstar, and he is on a little bit of a bad road. So his management company, his touring company, somebody or other who's in charge of his career, they decide that he needs to have some good PR, so they have him go to this small town and recruit this girl who everybody thinks she's going to be a country music sweetheart. Her parents were both in the industry, and everybody knew her like when she was little up until her parents died tragically. He goes to the town and he convinces her that she needs to come over, and they slowly throughout the tour they start to kind of help each other deal with demons, become a friendship, become a relationship. This was so cute. I loved it so much. I believe this was Erin Hahn's debut novel. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it is. I think I've heard that a couple of times. And I will probably pick up anything she writes now because this was adorable. It was so cute. 5 stars. Next started the Romanceopoly-a-thon, and for my first read of that, I picked Dr. Strangebeard by Penny Reed. This is part of the Winston Brothers series. This is about Roscoe and Simone, it was kind of a second chance romance, but the first time wasn't really a romance. They were just friends back then, and Simone has come back to town undercover for work, and she has to kind of reform her friendship with Roscoe, and Roscoe is the only one of them that remembers what happened in the past. And this was very good. I gave it 4 stars. I loved Roscoe and Simone. I loved the Winston Brothers series. I cannot wait for the next one, but it doesn't come out until the fall. Next I read When We Left Cuba by Chanel Cleaton. This is book 2. I don't know if the series has a name, but this is the companion sequel to Next Year in Havana. This is about Beatrice, who after the family has to flee from Cuba, which we saw in Next Year in Havana, she kind of takes on this, like, I must fix this role, and she joins up with, was it the FBI or the CIA? It was somebody. She joined up with somebody and tried to do some, like, espionage work, but she was also having an affair with a senator? Was he a senator? This book was so emotional. I cried through most of it because I really wanted the relationship to work out. With the history of Cuba, there was no way for this relationship to work out, and the ending got me. The ending got me a lot. It was so emotional, but it was so good. I highly recommend if you're into historical fiction, historical romance. This was so good. 5 stars. Next I read Inspire by Cora Carmack. This is the first in the Muse series, but it's the only one that is out so far. She got obligated to write other stories and never completed this series or continued on with this series. But this is so good. It is about a muse from Greek mythology who is living in Austin, Texas, and she's kind of become, I don't know how to describe it, kind of bored with the muse life, I guess, and she wants more from it. Especially after she meets this guy who is not an artist, and she doesn't know a way, like, she feels a connection to him that's more than the muse connection, but she doesn't know a way to be with him without that inspiration connection. This was so good. I don't want to say any more than that because it will spoil it. I gave this one 4 stars. Mostly because there was a cliffhanger. Even though I knew that going into it, because when I bought the book from Corey Carmack, she said, there's not a sequel, it is a cliffhanger, I'm sorry. And I understand that. She was obligated to write more stories, and I've enjoyed those other ones too. This was really good. I just wish there was more to it. Next I read Meet Cute by Helena Hunting. This is about a woman who, on her first day of law school, she runs into the actor who used to play on one of her favorite shows. He has quit acting and is going to law school with her now. And they sort of form like a healthy rivalry until the very last semester when something happens and she hates him after that. Fast forward to when they are completely done with law school, they are established in their careers. He comes to her for help involving his little sister who he has recently taken guardianship of. This was a very cute story, but I was unprepared for how emotional this got, for how, like, serious this got. I think that's why I kind of knocked the rating down, because I wasn't prepared for it. It was good, and I understand what it had to do with the story. But I was unprepared for it because this cover, I thought it was going to be like a cute rom-com. And it was very deep, very serious. Cover did not match at all. Next I read China Rich Girlfriend by Kevin Kwan. This is book 2 in the Crazy Rich Asians series. This one I gave it 3.5 stars. There's so many points of view, so many characters. Like, the lifestyle is just outrageous to me. It reads more like a fantasy novel to me because I kind of have to wrap my head around this new, like, world, basically. Some of the characters I care about, some of the characters I didn't care about. That was basically my rating. Next I read Scoring Wilder by R.S. Gray. This is about a girl who is going into her freshman year of college on the soccer team, hoping to work with the coach that is also the women's Olympic soccer team coach, but they have recruited a new assistant coach off of the men's professional hockey team. Men's professional soccer team. And he is completely off limits because he's coach, and she kind of didn't care, basically, is what happened. He was the one that did more of the caring about that they weren't supposed to be together. I gave this one 4 stars. I did really enjoy it. It was a good sports romance. If you like those, if you like soccer, I highly recommend. Next I have probably my biggest disappointment of the month, which it was still a 3.5 stars, so it wasn't bad. It's just not what I expected. And that was Serious Moonlight by Jen Bennett. I loved Alex Approximately. I loved Starry Night. I wanted to love this one so much, but, okay. So this is about a girl who has a sleep issue, which she won't go get diagnosed because her grandfather has the same thing, and he didn't ever go get diagnosed. So she gets a night job working in a hotel where she meets this guy who she had previously hooked up with and ran away. That was a weird situation. I don't know. So now they're co-workers, and she she likes mysteries and like mystery books and mystery movies and stuff like that. So he creates this mystery to kind of pull her into being his friend. And they go on all these adventures to try to like solve this mystery. And I didn't care about the mystery. And then it kind of had like a spin, and I didn't care about that at all either. I was like, that's crappy, basically, is what it was. And she kept doing this thing. It was told from the point of view of the main girl character, and she kept doing this thing where she's really into mysteries. Did you know? This is how she would write this case file on this person. And eventually I just got to where I would skip them because it would be a person she's already done one for. It would be just like adding one thing in. I'm like, I don't care. I just learned that about them too. I don't need you to tell me in a case file that that's what they do, that this is how they act. This is their, like, something you didn't know about them before. It kept pulling me out of the story and I was getting frustrated with it. 3.5 stars. I mean, it was cute, but, meh. Next I read The Protector by Jodi Ellen Moppus. This was another 3.5 stars for me. This is about a man who is ex-military. He works for a private security firm now, and he is hired by this businessman to be a bodyguard for his daughter who he's received threats on. The daughter wants nothing to do with the bodyguard. She doesn't understand why he has to be around her all the time. I thought this was really good, actually. It was better than I expected it to be. I thought this was actually really good. It was better than I expected it to be. It had more of an emotional attachment. I thought it was just going to be, he's her bodyguard, he, like, lusts after her, and then they fall in love. But it actually had substance to it. There was some stuff in his past that he was dealing with. She was more than just an heiress. She was trying to start her own business, like, away from her father's whole, like, business side of things. She was trying to, like, branch out and start her own, and I really enjoyed this. Next I read Listen to Me by Kristen Proby. This is book 1 in the Fusion series. The Fusion series is 5 women who have started their own restaurant in Portland, Oregon, and the first one is, I think she's like I'm not sure exactly what her title was, but she was kind of like the front of house person, like the person that all the guests see and interact, like the customer service type person. Anyway, the 5 women decide that they want to have a weekend, like, live music player. So they go to this open mic night and they meet, is it Jake? Yes, they meet Jake, who used to be part of a really popular band, but something tragic happened, and he kind of decided that he needed a break from music, basically, from performing. So this was his first time back playing, and she hears him, and they, I don't think they met right away. I think she just hears him, and then he comes into the restaurant later after hearing that they're looking for somebody to play music, like, from somewhere else. He gets the job. They start hanging out. He is very determined to catch her attention, even though she wants nothing to do with him because she has been burned by musicians before. I really enjoyed the progression of this relationship, the progression of this story. I gave this one 4 stars. Next I read Keep Her Safe by K.A. Tucker. This was my first venture into K.A. Tucker's darker romances. I've read mostly her like, new adult contemporaries. I was pleasantly surprised by this. I thought, because it was going to be a, like, mystery thriller, that I wasn't going to be into it. But I definitely was. What did I give this one? I gave this one a 3.5 stars. I think it was mostly just because it was supposed to be a mystery thriller romance, and I didn't really feel the connection in the romance. I liked the mystery thriller part, but the romance was lackluster for me. This book starts off with Noah, the main male character, and his mother is completely drunk, and she's spouting out all this information that he's never heard her talk about before with this situation. She is the Austin police chief, and he leaves and she kills herself, and he doesn't know what to do. He starts finding out all this stuff that had to do with the death of her old partner. So he goes to Arizona. I believe the girl is living in Arizona now. He goes to Arizona to meet up with the former partner's daughter, who her and her mother have had a bad life since the situation with her father. And he brings her back to Austin, and they start trying to, there's some other stuff that happens, but I don't want to spoil it. They start trying to figure out what exactly happened to her dad. Next, I continued on with the Fusion series and read Close to You by Kristen Proby. And I was actually pleasantly surprised that this one was the second book, because this was the one, this was like the one of the owners that I was most interested in learning her story. So this is about Cammie, who has been in love with the older brother of one of the other girls for, I think it was for as long as she could remember. I think it was like when they were 5 or something. And after he graduated from high school, he went off into the military, and he was a pilot, a fighter jet pilot, or just a pilot? He was a pilot, anyway. And he has some sort of accident where he, something about the vertebrae in his neck, I don't know, something happened. He can't fly a plane anymore, so he comes home to start working in the family construction business, the same construction business that the girls use when they want to expand their restaurant over into the building next door to it. So he and Cammie start spending a lot of time together, because she's like the financial person who is going to be in charge of all of the like budgets and everything for the construction. And we learn that he also had feelings for her, but she was younger than him, and he felt like they were wrong. So that was why he initially left to go into the military. And I just thought this was really cute. I really felt their connection. I gave this one a 4 stars as well. And I loved it. It was so good. So those are all the books that I read in the month of April. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.